Good afternoon, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Good afternoon, Sister Sylvia Bay. Okay, we shall start with Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today we have right action, the talk on right action by Sister Sylvia Bay.
My apologies for the technical glitches that took up half an hour, but that's perfectly fine. I mean, these things happen. Actually, I would like to say something before I start the talk. I want to thank the BF members who managed to fix a technical glitch in 15-20 minutes. It's not easy. The system just shut down and we had to reboot very quickly. So thank you very much for the work, for the good work, so that Dhamma can continue, okay? When I was approached by BF to give a series of talks a few weeks back, I asked myself, what can I share that can be immediately relevant to people in their daily life? We have talks on understanding the Dhamma and all kinds of doctrinal issues, on meditations and this and that. These are very important topics. But equally important, I think, is how does one embrace Dhamma and make it very much an instinctive part of life. It is not enough to understand, conceptually know Dhamma. It is even more important that the Dhamma comes alive in your daily life, so that you, when you walk out of your house, when you wake up in the morning, you walk out of your house, you engage people, whatever things that you do in life, there is always a part in you that remembers the Dhamma, and that is important. Because only when you can do that, only when you can be mindful of the Dhamma, day in, day out, only when it becomes such a substantial part of you, could you really appreciate and embrace that Dhamma, feel the joy of Dhamma in your life. And this is what we strive to do, okay? Right action may sound like a simple, obvious topic. I mean, it's simple in the sense that who doesn't know right action? If you were to ask anyone who has gone through a basic Buddhism course, they will say, oh, no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct. Straightforward. But it's actually a lot more than that. And today I want to show you right action in the context of the overall teaching. And then you can practice right action without being fixated about the rules. Because I have been asked by people very often, can I do this? Should I do that? Is this wrong action? Is that killing? It shouldn't be like that. If you understand what is right action, it becomes very spontaneous and very instinctive in you, whether something can be done or not, and why. Why should not it be done? And how, instead, should you do things? And that's what we aim to do, to help you understand why, and then you can apply in your life, in your own, what we call own time, own target. This becomes a part of your life, okay? First, we talk about Dhamma. I call this Dhamma in a nutshell, okay? Give you an idea of the context of right action. We all know about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Paths. And Four Noble Truths are the dukkha, what is suffering, dukkha, origin of suffering, why does dukkha arise, and it's because of tanha, craving. Okay? Because we have craving, there is dukkha. Cessation of dukkha, meaning the sensation of suffering can cease. There is a method of training that enables the mind to experience cessation of suffering. This is not about arahant experiencing cessation of suffering. This is not arahant. This is in your daily life as you are. You can also experience the Dhamma in terms of experiencing cessation of suffering. Okay? Remember Four Noble Truths, as I've said? A part of the Four Noble Truths is the Eightfold Path, right? Eightfold Path is a method of training to help one basically reshape the way we see the world and the way we behave, okay? And in this path, the intent of this path is so that you have awakening. It's a big word. Awakening is a big word. But think of it like mini moments of awakenings. In all just microscopic little moments, nothing full of fireworks, just simple little moment of a realization. Oh, this is what it means. Oh, this is how we should do things. Oh, this is how it feels to experience Dhamma. These are little awakening moments. So one of the critical awakening moments is when you begin to understand the nature of the mind as it is. And understanding the nature of the mind means becoming aware that your mind, your experience of life has 5 parts. The form, feeling, as in sensation, contact sensation, there is a feeling. Then you make a judgment, what we call sanya, which is perception, but actually it means recognition. The mind has an experience and the mind recognizes. That is sanya, okay, that is perception. Then when it recognizes, it may start to think, start to construct. That is volitional thought formation, also known as sankara. And all these you experience. There is an experience of all these that is vijnana, consciousness, translated as consciousness. So the reality of the mind is these 5 aggregates, these 5 experiences come together for you to have a sense of life. For you, when you're living life, those are the 5 aggregates. That's it. Okay? And all these experiences arise and fall away. Every one of them, feeling, perception, thought formation, they come and they go. Awakening too, when there is a state of mind, when you have clarity, there's mindfulness. In that state, you realize what it means by one of the 5 aggregates or 2 of the 5 aggregates. You begin to be awakened to the fact that all your experiences have actually been described by the Buddha, from a critical part of his teaching, and it's actually your life, your experience in life. And all these sensations are impermanent. And ever so often you have preferences, so you feel an agitation, that is dukkha, you feel an agitation. And the Buddha says all these do not signify a permanent being outside of the experience. When you have these little moments of awakening to reality as is, if your awakening, if your understanding is strong enough, firm enough, impactful enough, there and then you will experiencing cessation of dukkha. Meaning to say, you say, it's okay, I don't care, let go. It's all right, I don't mind, I'm happy. You are able to say all those words because you understand the nature of mind comes and go, or experiences comes and go. You are awakened to that because of some degree of training, some degree of practice. Now, always remember the training is all about experiencing a reduction of agitation. If I want to use simpler words, more everyday word, it's like you were upset and you are no more upset. You were agitated and then you're cool. You lose the agitation, okay? You can actually see that transformation. As you experience it, it's obvious. I'm agitated. If you remain agitated, there must be something you are doing which is contrary to the Dhamma, to the teaching. If you were doing exactly as he had advised, he had taught by the Eightfold Path, for sure your agitation will drop. And for every time, every moment that the agitation drops, that is cessation of dukkha. Now imagine if you're able to consolidate your training to your mind, change the way the mind works, rewire, reshape, readjust your attitude, etc., and you do it so well, your new baseline, your mental baseline shifts from what it is now to something a lot more wholesome. When it is a lot more wholesome, you will have really cessation of dukkha. You don't get agitation anymore. It doesn't come out. And the training is actually to help us go in that direction. So for those of you who are deeply into meditation, who are reading a lot of suttas, you're very much into doctrinal training, etc., that's great and that's important. Those are important training. But if those training does not lead to you becoming more wholesome, more easygoing, more content, more peaceful, then the training is incomplete. And that is the purpose of today's talk. How do you make your training more complete, better, that you are less, you become more and more chill. To use a modern millennial word, more chill. I'm not even sure I'm using it correctly. Okay, you recall, it's actually one of my favorite little teaching from Ajahn Chah. He talked about the Dhamma being beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end, right? We all know this little description of the Dhamma, that is beautiful in the beginning, middle, and the end. And Ajahn Chah said, beautiful in the beginning is sīla, meaning wholesomeness, restraint, goodness, okay? Beautiful in the middle is samadhi. So because you are wholesome, you have been embracing lightness, goodness, it's very easy for the mind to become less aggravated, more steadier, more still, okay? And beautiful in the end means panya, because you are able to start to have a quieter mind, capable of observing itself. Then it learns to let go more, it learns to be more content. So your understanding of what's going on increases. That's how you know. As you uphold wholesomeness, you will experience that more peaceful mind, the result of which is you are in a better position to see how that mind works, and you understand and can correlate the mind with the teachings. Voila, awakening. Okay, that's the idea. Today, I have chosen to speak on action, right action, because this was actually done by, I've done a public talk on this, and you can go online and look for it, on right speech. We will be doing right view, 2 lectures from now, okay? So today we'll do right action. And by right action, I will refer you to the sutta called Sāleyyaka Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 41, Sāleyyaka Sutta. And in this cute little sutta, actually it's not cute, it's not little, it's quite long. in this lovely sutta, it was an encounter between Buddha and a group of householders, Brahmins. They were not originally they were not his disciples. They were not with him. They're a bunch of Brahmins in a village in Kosala Kingdom, meaning the Buddha's hometown. And they have heard of his reputation. They know that this guy, this wonderful teacher, commands tremendous respect and lots of following, and he had this wonderful reputation of being an incredible teacher, and they were curious. So a whole battalion of them decided they will pay Buddha a visit. Pay him a visit. He was coming to town. They were very excited. And in the sutta, there was this mention of them approaching the Buddha. Some of them will bow, others will just go there and say, "Hi Buddha, I'm so-and-so from where?" And basically, they did not have a consistent ritual of paying respect. Some talk, some say nothing, some just sit by the side and stare. And of course, there were the ones who bow down before him. So they are the ones who bowed before the Buddha were the ones who truly respected him, okay? Then they wanted to know from the Buddha, well, we do all kinds of rituals for purification. What works? And what happens? What should we do? How can we conduct ourselves? How can we purify ourselves? And the Buddha said, you purify yourself, you undertake unwholesome action, okay? Unwholesome action when you engage in 10 kinds of activities, 10 kinds of conduct. And he divided the 10 kinds of conduct into 3 by the body, bodily action, 4 through your speech, and 3 actually just in the mind, okay? And the consistent point, the consistent pattern in all the 10, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, harsh speech, slander, frivolous talk, longing or coveting, ill will, hatred, wrong views, these 10. The 3 underpinning features of all 10 are lobha, greed, either lobha or dosa, or both lobha and dosa. Dosa is anger, strong ill will, strong ill will. And the third one is moha. Moha I will explain when we talk about wrong views. Today I will not. Moha has been translated as ignorant or delusion. I will explain it later. But today I will just point out that all these 10, akusala action, unwholesome action, all 10 sit on at least 2 of these drivers, at least 2. Why? Because usually greed plays a part. But greed doesn't come alone. Greed always comes with his favorite cousin, moha. There's always greed and ignorance, delusion, foolishness, whatever you call it. This guy is always there. And then dosa, anger, also comes with moha. This guy is everywhere. Without ignorance, without delusion, without foolishness, you will not give in to unwholesome, unskillful instincts. Only when there is foolishness, moha, then you let go. Then you will cave, okay? You will give in to these agitations and you will whack. Okay. Now we're going to talk about right action specifically, okay? Avoid evil, do good, purify mind. This is a very famous verse in the Dhammapada 183. Okay, Dhammapada 183. Very famous verse. All Buddhas would teach: avoid evil, do good, and purify the mind. I know when I was young and new to the practice, I've always seen these words. Yeah, all of us have seen these words. Sometimes they're written all over the temple wall, the monastery walls. And then we say, it's obvious, it makes sense. And then we go on. We don't realize how powerful these words are and how significant they are, because there is no enlightenment. There will be no enlightenment. There will be no spiritual growth without doing these properly. There is no way, okay? There is no way that you will be able to get to the next level of training, spiritual practice, without imbuing these words into your mind, and your regular life is really a reflection of the efforts to do this. Okay? Now, avoid evil. Fundamentally, we will say, oh, it's about don't kill, panatipata, don't kill, adina dāna, do not take what was not given. Okay? And sexual misconduct, miccāchāra. Then you will say, most of us don't do any of those things, ma. I mean, we don't kill, we don't steal, I hope not. And we definitely don't have back sexual misconduct. We're all very proper people. Voila, good, we're done. But it doesn't work like that, okay? It doesn't work like that because this actually is the baseline. We're really talking about not killing, not stealing, no sexual misconduct. That is really the baseline. If you were to do any of these, you've just fallen below the baseline. That's what it means. Another thing to bear in mind is this. You are living in a modern society. In a modern society, you don't kill for your own food. Buddha was talking about ancient, when Buddha was explaining this and teaching this, it was a time when if you want to eat a live thing, you have to either order it, you go kill, or you do it yourself. So in that society, there would have been many people who really will take out that knife and slaughter something, okay? You live in a more, we just call it a modern age, huh? This is a modern age, and so there is industrial killing, and you are partaking in the spoils of the industrial killing, okay? Therefore, you have to think beyond just this obvious level, what else? And I will bring your attention to the words that he used. Murderous, bloody, these are Buddha's words, huh? Murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless, okay? It talks about a state of mind that lacks compassion, that takes pride, maybe delight in causing pain, harm, hurt to another. So if you were to extrapolate from this, then we can say, sometimes when you get upset and you lash out, physically lash out, or even verbally lash out, and with that action you cause pain, hurt, tension, fear in another. You may not have taken a knife and killed, but your act could have damaged a mind. In that sense, even if you had not fallen below the baseline, you're running very close to it, okay? With your action that causes fear, pain, hurt, or to another, tears. In my view, you are treading very close to damaging the other person's mind and damaging your own mind, okay? Another point I want to bring to your attention is this. In a way, we have been living somewhat carelessly. If you think about it, we have seen articles talking about how our unrelentless craving and consumerism behavior has led to damage, severe damage in the environment. In my view, even though you did not directly go do something, burn the village, burn the forest. You didn't do that. But if we live with some neglect, with some degree of irresponsibility, with the I don't care attitude, it's not my problem attitude, when you live like this, you are also guilty of selfish behavior. It's your action that's selfish, because it's all about my interest, my delight, my comfort, and from whatever you consider to be mine, it causes problems for other living beings. I'm pretty sure the Buddha would also think, it shouldn't be like this. So if we say that we are responsible members, students, disciples of the Buddha, do spare a thought in how we lead our life, so that as much as possible, we don't create more problems for other beings, as much as possible. I think that's important, okay? Living responsibly, living kindly, living with compassion. Adina dāna, taking what has not been given. The original Pali word was very specific and quite stern. When something has not been given to you, and you take it, common property, you take it, office stationery, you take it, that actually falls under the category of adina dāna, taking what has not been given, okay? And so some may say, yeah, but I never do that. Yeah, I never take anything. And let me just explain this a little bit further. This particular precept, this particular idea of right action here is to reduce the natural tendency to be stingy, to be greedy, to be kiam siap. Yeah? The idea here is, kiam siap stingy, I'm a bit stingy here. What does it mean? Anytime when your motivation is, I want to gain a little, penny pinching, you know? Just a little bit of, the Chinese word which comes to mind very easily for me is 贪小便宜. Yeah? Just a little benefit and you want it, cheapskate. As long as your mind has that tendency, and because of that tendency, you undertake a behavior that causes you to take something not given to you, that is adina dāna, okay? So for instance, you abuse office time. In my mind, you abuse office time. In the office, here you're supposed to work, there you're doing your own little private matters. That in a way is taking what's not been given to you. So it's actually a lot more, in our complex world, it has become a lot more complex. Just remember that if your mind has some greed, some desire, and there is a part in you that if I were to just give in to this desire, it is actually not correct, but you do it nonetheless. At that point, it's adina dāna, okay? Some may say, hey, why are you so strict about this? I'm not. I'm just pointing out to you that the basic principle underlying that precept is not the action you cannot do. It's really do not give in to the temptations of the mind. And the temptations of the mind that cause you to be more self-centered, more selfish, and you cause pain and regret in others, then you have caused pain by your action. You have abused another by your action. That's the idea. Okay? So don't come and say, if I were to do this, it sounds like skirting near the truth. Near that baseline. If I were to do this, can or not? You ask me that question, I will tell you cannot. Your mind is already wondering whether you have transgressed. And my reply is, you probably have. And your instinct tells you, you have. But you rather not think about, oh, I did not, and therefore I can just continue doing it. Okay? The third one on sexual misconduct, in the Buddha's time, it was written like this. This is actually how it was written originally. Misconducts himself in sensual pleasures, i.e., intercourse with woman protected by parents, relatives, siblings, the state, what else? They have undertaken a vow or married or engaged to be married. The idea here is these women are off limits and protected by family, by parents, and the suggestion here is underage, or engaged to be married, or married. And the idea here is they are not yours to use. So actually, because it says woman, it was very specific, then some may say, oh, then woman is free. No. In Buddha's time, the women do not leave house and go out and play. They were all secluded at home. So the woman in Buddha's time did not have an opportunity, did not have the liberty to go out, make friends, and give in to their baser nature. Today, we are living in a very different world. And in our world, we shouldn't have this gender differentiation. Man or woman, the precept applies. If you were to impose your carnal desires on another being who is vulnerable to your advances, you are guilty of breaking that precept. That's all. Then how do you take it to another level? We all have all kinds of temptations and desires, okay? At any time when your desire get the better of you and cause pain to another, and you don't care, to me, that's being nasty. That's already cutting very close to breaking the precept. It's not just a precept, it's really treat another as you wish to be treated. Empathy must apply, consideration must apply, kindness, gentle behavior, all these count. Because how you act is actually a reflection of your mind, your state of mind. If you act aggressively, roughly, then the state of mind is actually rough and aggressive, hard. This state of mind will find it very difficult to understand the Buddha's teaching. If you want to understand the Buddha's teaching, that state of mind has to be soft, gentle, relaxed, flexible, malleable. Those are the words that the Buddha himself had used. A mind of that nature, that lightness, the gentleness, the softness, a mind of that nature will not deliberately undertake an action that causes hurt, pain to another. Okay? So that's the harsh part, the avoid evil, the part where you cause pain and cause hurt. That's the evil part. But we cannot stop there. I think sometimes we do not put enough emphasis on the importance of doing good and purifying mind. Sometimes we think, oh, if we avoid evil, it's good enough, I'm a good person. You are a decent person, but you can do better, okay? Doing good, abandoning, abstaining from killing, and this is the Buddha's word, abide with compassion to all beings. How often are we truly compassionate? It's something we have to ask ourselves. We like to believe that we are compassionate, but in most cases, not most, many a times you may find that your compassion has a certain price tag. If I like the person, I'm very compassionate. If I don't like the person because the person doesn't respect me, compassion evaporates. Then your compassion has price tag. Your metta has price tag. It should be Buddha says, to all, compassionate to all, kindness to all, respect, consideration to all, meaning there should not be discrimination. If you haven't been doing it right, now is the time to think about how to do it right, okay? So, don't kill, but were you compassionate enough? Were you kind enough? Did you show enough consideration? Did you have empathy for them? Did you feel their pain and try to help? If you said, someone fell and I spend my time taking picture so that I can post on social media, that's already not good enough. You may not have pushed him, but you were definitely not nice, okay? Just point, huh? The second point is, avoid taking what's not given. But did you give? Have you gone a bit further and say, I don't take, and instead I am giving? Giving time, giving energy, giving consideration, giving respect. Giving is not just giving things. Giving is really giving a whole list of whatever that man needs and wants. Have you ever given? I will talk about this in more detail under purifying the mind, okay? But I want to go very quickly into the third one, misconducting yourself in a sexual misconduct, avoiding sexual misconduct. Taking it one step further is that in your relationship with people, do you show enough respect? Do you honor them? Do you have consideration? Is it all about you in a relationship? Or in your relationship, your first instinct is to give, to share, to love, to extend comfort, be a source of refuge, be a source of comfort and protection, as opposed to be a source of somebody's fear. That's the difference, okay? So when we talk about doing good, then your mind is not, your motivation is not lobha, dosa, and moha. Your motivation minimally is alobha, adosa, amoha. The A is good. A is good, right? Lobha means not greedy, no greed. There is no greed underpinning what you are doing for another, okay? Instead, you should have, and this comes under this side, you should have compassion, friendliness. Mudita is empathetic joy. And, okay, upeka is a separate story. That one's high end. We will talk about that later. So, whatever action that you undertake, you should be aware that your motivation is wholesome. The motivation is wholesome. And it is without greed, without anger, with understanding. Okay? That's the idea. The Buddha said in a sutta in Anguttara Nikaya 8.39 streams, he said this: by abstaining from these activities, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, by abstaining from these activities, the noble disciple gives to an immeasurable number of beings, freedom from fear, enmity, and affliction. Translation by Bhante Bhikkhu Bodhi, okay? So, when you do not undertake action that hurts, that damages people, beings, then you have given immeasurable, so many beings, can't even count, number of beings, freedom from fear, enmity, and affliction, pain. And because of that, you will enjoy immeasurable freedom from fear, enmity, and affliction. This is vipaka, the result of your kindness and goodness and consideration will then lead to you having the same kind of kindness and consideration. Okay? Now comes, in my mind, if you are a practitioner, you call yourself a practitioner, in my mind, the most important part of right action, which is found in Digha Nikaya, lengthy discourses, Digha, lengthy discourse, number 33, Sangiti Sutta. This sutta has a lot of lovely tidbits. You should go and check it out. DN 33. In there, it was mentioned that we should cultivate three mental qualities. You can call them mental qualities, but they are also actions. Things that you actively do to improve yourself spiritually, okay? Dāna, sīla, bhāvanā. Dāna has been translated as giving, gift. I like to use the word chaga, which is generosity. That's dāna. Sīla is morality. Bhāvanā is mental cultivation. Let me explain this. This part, for all practitioners, is the most critical. As I've said, this is baseline. Don't do these things, baseline, okay? And then you stretch it upwards to doing the opposite of these things. Don't kill, don't steal, don't engage, don't be unfaithful, engage in sexual misconduct, That's baseline, but instead you honor life, you save life, you help people. You don't cause pain, instead you help alleviate pain. You don't take, instead you give. You don't impose your carnal desires on another. Instead, in whatever relationship that you go into, you honor, you respect. The person in the association with you should become better people, not worse. That's the idea. Huh? But purifying the mind, this is all about you. Why just these three? Because usually you hear 10. Right? By the way, when you talk about 10 meritorious deeds, that one comes from the commentary. From the Buddha, it's only these three, critical three. Huh? And in these three, it actually sums up the practice. Just these three sums up the practice, okay? Sums up the cultivation. Dāna. Dāna means giving, and earlier on I have said, it's not just giving things. Everything that you can let go of, you can accept and not hanker after, is a form of chaga, extension of dāna. What does it mean? Suppose, let's say, people come to you and said, I need you to help me do these things. But you prefer to spend your time doing your own thing. Very, very precious weekend, you just want to enjoy yourself, watch a movie, and go for coffee, that sort of thing. But here there is a request for help. Or it could be a minor. Your mom say, why don't you keep me company? It's a minor point. Dāna is when you set aside your own time and you give it to your mother, give it to your parent. Your own preference, your own delight, pleasure, you say, fine, I'll put it aside. I will give this time to you. That's dāna. That's not easy, okay? I'll give you another type. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. A lot of people cannot do that because they get angry, they get agitated for whatever reasons, they have all kinds of ideas. But what is dāna here? Dāna means, or chaga if you like, setting aside your own views, put it aside. Give it. Give that forgiveness. Accept the reconciliation. do things like that. Basically, let go of anger. Letting go of anger is letting go of moha. It's delusion. If you are 5 aggregates and I'm 5 aggregates, what's there to hold on to? But no. Some people, because the views are so strong, because the anger is so strong, the hatred is so strong, I will fight you to the death. And then next time we start again. It's okay. That's not very wise. There are many. Dāna has many aspects. Many aspects of dāna. The minimum that you can do is to extend assets that you can grow. So giving money is the minimumness. I'm not sure if that's such a word. The minimumness. Because you can grow that. Time you cannot regain. Once you've given out the time, that's it. You see what I'm saying? I want to meditate, you want to talk. Once you let go, that's it. But it's more than that, it's energy. What about skill? You could earn money by teaching certain things, but I will just dāna it away. I will teach for free because it helps people. Something like that. Huh? So dāna is a reflection of the ability, your ability to let go. We always talk about letting go, anger, letting go of greed. Those are a lot more subtle than we think. Anger and greed can be so subtle you barely realize it's there. The hard one, the tough, the rage, that one is strong. You know it's there. But what about annoyance? It's very subtle. Can you let go of annoyance? It's very subtle. Why is that important? Because sometimes you sit there quietly and then someone comes along and you say, I don't like this person. It's all in the mind, I don't like this person. And then you show it. And then that's wrong conduct. As far as I'm concerned, that's wrong conduct already. That's not nice. When you have dāna as part of your instinct, then you also set aside all those subtle desires that you have, all the subtle ones, and you accommodate. You learn to accommodate, you learn to just accept. And when you can do that, just by that alone, if you can do that, you are a happier person. Voila! Cessation of dukkha, you are a happier person. That's all, okay? Now, the next one, sīla. Sīla is a firmer, a clearer effort not to give in to lobha, dosa, moha. Okay? Sometimes we'll say, sīla means the 5 precepts. Again, that's baseline. Sīla actually means training yourself to act with restraint on any occasions that seem to be triggering your akusala, your unwholesomeness. So it can be anything. Anytime you find in you a desire or an agitation that you feel compelled to act on, but you restrain yourself from acting on that compulsion, the negative compulsion, at that point, you are practicing sīla. Okay? It can be any negative compulsion. So that's one part of sīla. Then the positive, I always bring it back to the positive. Because if you don't do the positive, then your life is going to be revolving around negatives. Don't do the negatives, don't do the negatives. But it's not like that. You have to go move it to the positive. Find occasion to help, to serve, to give, to bring joy to another person's life. You constantly find occasion to do that. And it can be a very small thing. You may be thinking, she's talking about serving out at, some big carnival. Now social distancing cannot be carnival. No, it can be very subtle. Sit with someone who wants your company. Your child comes to you and says, Mommy, I haven't seen you the whole day. Can we sit? At that moment, you sit. That's dāna. And you love. That is sīla. Okay? When you can show love and attention, when you give put aside your own desires and you show something positive, you accommodate, that is dāna. But if you say, I actually prefer to do this, you see the agitation come up, okay, hold it, that is sīla. And then you convert that into something positive. I embraced you, I'm happy to be here doing this, I rejoice in this giving. When you're doing that, it's actually sīla, it's drifting towards sīla. So acting with restraint over your unwholesomeness, bringing up the wholesomeness, that's sīla, okay? And together, they are mental cultivation. Mental cultivation, bhāvanā, is really about constantly reminding yourself to stay wholesome. Constantly reminding yourself to stay wholesome. By the time you reach bhāvanā, unwholesomeness should not be part of the furniture already. It should be wholesomeness. And you go on from there. Metta, karuna. Metta, loving kindness, friendliness. Because in metta, in this mental energy of metta, the critical element here is you are not caught up in yourself. If you're caught up and say, how do I look? How would they look at me? If you're caught up in yourself, metta can't quite flow out. Metta will flow out when your natural mental energy is soft and gentle. And then it's very easy to look at someone and say, hi, how are you? Had a good time? Was it a good day? And then someone say, no, it's not a good day. Metta will say, why, what happened? Or karuna, compassion. What happened? You want to talk about it? If your instinct is, when people say, I'm not having a good day, and your instinct is, oh, don't tell me about it. That's not metta already. There's no karuna there. That is all, can you see how your mind shriveled to protect yourself? And that's what will happen. You will shrivel to protect yourself. We don't want that, okay? We want to keep this mind constantly engaging others, not caught up in your self-interest. The whole idea about cultivation is trying to drop within you, dropping that instinct to be self-centered, self-interested. This fixation with my rights, my entitlements, my desires, my pleasure, all these mine, they are the hindrances to practice. In your daily life, are you able to put all these aside? This habit of looking inwards and protecting this being, this idea, but instead reaching out to help another, spontaneously helping. Not I think I should do this, then I try. In the initial period, you may find some difficulty in reaching out and be proactive in being wholesome. You may find, I don't know, it all really depends on the individual. But over time, as you do it more and more often, with some regularity, with consistent regularity, consistent, meaning you do it often enough and consistently enough, you will find that it becomes very easy for the mind to reach out with metta and karuna, the compassion and so on, okay? I won't go into mudita, which is empathetic joy, and upekkha, which is equanimity. I won't go into those because that requires quite a lot more explanation. So that basically is it. I invite question.
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. We have some questions here. If you have broken a precept, it means you have sinned. So how do you redeem yourself?
Precept is not sin. The idea of sin doesn't quite gel with the Dhamma. Dhamma doesn't talk about sin. Dhamma talks about stain. How the mind gets defiled, stained, affected because of the choices that is made. When you make some choices and it causes your mind to feel more lobha, dosa or moha, more greed, more anger, more agitation, your mind gets a blurrer, more foolish. Those are stains. So breaking a precept deliberately means you have chosen to give in to akusala, greed, anger, defilement.
Next question. Is euthanasia right action, especially for those in coma for more than 5 years?
You know, when I chose to talk about right action, I knew questions like that would appear. It's a matter of time someone is going to ask about euthanasia and abortion. Let me say this. The act of killing, breaking the precept, is very specific. The being is alive. You choose if there is a deliberate decision to take that life. That act is killing. There is no two ways about that. There is no right or wrong. It is really the individual saying to himself, I am prepared to do this for you. I am prepared to take that blow. So when you choose to take an action that leads to the termination of life for a living being, that is killing. That's all. Do not find loopholes in precepts. There is some people, some may say that, yeah, but it's justifiable. You said so. Then, for whatever reasons, if you feel that it has to be done, then you must have the courage to admit that you had been responsible for taking the life. It is taking a life, okay? Is there right or wrong? We're not talking about right or wrong. I'm very firm here. Buddha doesn't talk about right or wrong. Buddha talks about happiness for one and another. He talks about growth for one and another. It is not about following rules per se. It is when you undertake an action, does it take you closer to nibbana? Does it help you to experience less dukkha or more dukkha? When you undertake an action that actually leads you to have more agitation, deeper pain, you have regret, your conscience gets pricked, all these means you are having more dukkha. So that action that you are contemplating will give you more dukkha. Therefore, still the individual has to say, will I do it or will I not do it? It's the individual. Some actions, having undertaken, will actually lift your spirit, lift your mind, make you happier, make you feel more relief. Those actions you must do because those actions will take you closer to nibbana. Forgiveness, for instance, acceptance, for instance, contentment, all these will help the mind to get lighter. And therefore, those actions are to be encouraged. Okay?
Thank you. The right and wrong can be very much depending on accumulated panya or wisdom. Does it mean we should strive to seek understanding and learning of Dhamma more?
I said earlier that it when you think about an action or the way you talk, speech, action, how the mind thinks, the key element is not about compliance, complying with precepts, following rules. It is really about whether that action helps the mind becomes gentler, more elevated, happier, more relief, okay? So we're not talking about right or wrong. It's always about what is good, what is skillful in terms of helping the mind becoming less dukkha, more wholesome leads to less dukkha, leads to a deeper understanding of nibbana. Now, does panya help? Yes. Panya, right understanding, correct understanding of the Dhamma does make a world of difference in how you start to weigh issues, how you consider issues, how you prioritize, what emphasis do you put on what aspects, that weighing capacity, that weighing can be helped quite significantly, quite considerably with wisdom, growth of wisdom in spiritual wisdom, okay?
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. There were arahants that took their own lives during the Buddha's time. Were their actions still considered breaking of precepts, or were the precepts no longer applied to them since they had become enlightened?
I should say, name one. Repeat the question again. Are they breaking the precept?
There were arahants that took their own lives during Buddha's time.
I think we should set things in context here. Arahants do not see, there are a few issues here. Before I answer, I think there are a few issues here that we have to think through very carefully. And your question is asked with a certain bias and a certain assumption. And that assumption, that bias, is not quite consistent with events, okay? What you see is a being taking his life. And you feel that that act itself, measured against what we understand conventionally, seems inconsistent with teaching. But you see, the mind of enlightened beings are very different. The minds of enlightened beings, arahants, are very different from the rest of us, okay? It is not quite right for us to be saying, given this, can we measure it against these criteria, and therefore what can we conclude from this? To me, I think it's not wise to do that. I can't comment on the mind of arahants. And what I can tell you is the Buddha himself, when he was informed of the deaths, all the Buddha said was, there's no more becoming. It is over. Full stop. And then we just leave it at that. The Buddha did not condone suicide, okay? Any form of killing, any form of deliberate taking of life out of lobha, dosa, moha will create more problems in the becoming, okay? If you take a life, whether it's your own life or other people's life, other beings' life, and your motivation is lobha, greed, dosa, anger, and moha, that foolishness, the delusions, the wrong views. If you do killing underpinned by those mental states, you are in for a lot of pain. There is no way out. You just basically make things worse. Arahants are not motivated by any of those. That's the first point. There's no lobha, no dosa, no moha. They have a very different set of motivation. They're not motivations, the way that their mind works is very different. So it's a completely different story, okay?
Thank you. When we try to be compassionate and ask what's wrong or what happened, sometimes there's this feeling of, am I being a busybody? How to tackle this feeling?
The dilemma of, should I help, should I not help, what do I say, what should I not say? I find it usually quite easy to think about these things because in my mind, I try to stay within certain motivations. If the motivations are wholesome and by intervening, by helping, you can lead to, you can ensure a win-win situation, then do it. In my view, it's actually quite straightforward. As long as your motivation is wholesome, number one. And number two, it leads to a win-win outcome. Win-win in the sense of good for me, good for you, good for everyone. If with your intervention, it leads to an unwholesome outcome, meaning win for one, loss for another, greater tension, more problems, then you may want to rethink about your desire to be proactive here. Think, doesn't mean you don't do anything, maybe, but maybe the timing is wrong. You have to think about when it's suitable, okay? So it's not so straightforward as to should I do, should I not do, but actually is, if you do, why you're doing it, what outcome are you seeking? Are you so sure that this outcome is really good for everyone, or only for yourself? Or only by your bias, this has from your bias, from your angle, this is good for everyone. But do people agree with you? So before you act, think, reflect, be clear that your motivations are wholesome. Minimally, you have to be clear that your motivations are wholesome. And you say, yeah, but it's for their good. That's not wholesome. If you say it is for their good, actually, I would say there is unwholesome angle there. And it is your desire. If you have a strong desire to see an outcome, then you first have to look at your own desire and be very careful that your desire is not driving your instincts or your motivations to help. That desire, you should be able to let it go first. If you drop the desire, if there isn't this compulsion, then you can do something. Some people may say, yeah, but if I drop my compulsion, there's nothing to do already. Then so be it. Obviously, it's not critical enough. Buddha, in his time, also proactively intervened. And then you can name many instances where he proactively intervened. And in all the instances, his intervention was really out of compassion and really helpful to the individuals concerned. And it was specifically for one purpose, to help those individuals understand the Dhamma, realize it, and experience for themselves what it is like to have cessation of dukkha. So Buddha's intervention led to one more Arya in his time. Those were good interventions. Would your intervention lead to more Aryas? Or more aggravations? Only you can answer, okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. What if a person's job requires him to kill harmful insects? Is this considered right or bad action? Please enlighten me.
Any action that leads to a deprivation of life means it is killing. Unfortunately, in our teaching, we have to reflect like this. All these precepts come with a certain line of reflection, and we reflect like this. If I were in their shoes, would I like it if these actions were done to me. If I don't like it, then I don't do it. So if you reflect along this line of being empathetic for another, then there will be some things you will not do. Because you don't like it done to you, you will not want to do it to another. Okay?
Thank you. How do we constantly remind ourselves to remain wholesome with right thoughts and right actions at the moment of death, as many people are scared and confused at moments before we die?
In the course of one's life, if we are very consistent in our cultivation of wholesome mental states, when the time comes for that transition, there will be no fear. Okay? The problem for many of us is in our daily life, we may not be as wholesome as we hope to be. I say hope because I think most of us, especially people who are sitting there watching this, you're good people. You're all good people. Good as in national average, you're above. You're not below national average. This is above or they're about national average. You're decent people. And decent people, regular, conventional daily life, secular life, our mind may not be constantly on the Dhamma. In fact, chances are our mind is not on the Dhamma. Our mind is caught up in life's demands, responsibilities, desires. We are generally caught up with desires. That is why the Buddha had talked about cultivation of certain mental states to help us consolidate in wholesomeness. And the mental states are faith, saddha, sīla, morality, chaga, giving, generosity, panya, wisdom. In daily life, we want to constantly cultivate these mental states. Then you say, if I were to pay my respect, pray to the Buddha, and just pay, is that good enough? No, that is not good enough. That is rites and rituals. What is important is, can you just take 10 minutes every day? 10 minutes for me is minimum. 5 minutes too short. Open the book, that's it, 5 minutes. 10 minutes at least. Even better, a bit more, a little bit more. Every day reflect carefully on the teacher. See him as a teacher. Have I honored my teacher today? Have I done anything that embarrassed him? Or have I done something worthy of being his student? Have I honored my teacher today? Number one. Number two, have I been wholesome? Have I been good people? Good person? Have I reflect a little bit on the Dhamma, impermanence, mortality? Don't get fixated on pleasure. Little things like that. Have I done it today? 2. And 3. I know 3, the third one is Sangha. But actually it's also about practice. So the third one is, have I lived the life of a Buddhist that I am proud of today? Not this month, today. So every evening, if you can, you go before a shrine or you just sit quietly in a corner and you ask yourself, today, have I honored my teacher? Have I embraced the Dhamma and allowed myself to be wholesome, goodness? Have I been a practitioner of sort, living the life that he wants us to live? You can do this every day, just this one. At the end of time, the last day on this life, on this earth, you will have no regrets. you will feel fine. You would have, because your mental state is light of sort. It's light. It's peaceful. It's confident. I have done right. I have done well by the Dhamma. I'm fine. So that is about faith. Wholesomeness, sīla. I told you earlier, sīla is really about restraining your agitation, your lobha, dosa, moha, restraining that, and expressing it in wholesome terms. Wholesome terms. So sīla. Chaga is giving, generosity. Have you been generous today? They say every day must give something. Every day you can give kindness, right? Every day you can say to the person you love, hello, how are you? I love you so much. Or say to the people around you, I don't know. I don't particularly like the example of someone saying, oh yes, I do say to the cleaners. It's not about that. It's not about low. It's not about high. It's about being friendly. Just being friendly. Just smiling. Did you smile to someone today? That's the idea. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. If a person has signed an advance medical directive to tell his family to switch off his life support if he should ever be brain dead, he is taking his own life or killing himself through another person.
Who said that?
Wait, in this way, he spares them of the dilemma to do or not to do it. Is that considered an act of kindness on the part of the brain dead person?
You know,
First, I think must consider whether advance medical directive to switch off his life support.
I think we should approach this from the angle of trust. Okay? We trust that the medical professions will be professional, will have integrity, and will do the best that they can for you. We must have that trust. If you're going to sit there and be suspicious and worry, then there is clinging to life to begin with. But if you come from the angle of respect and trust, respect for and trust of the medical professions, the doctors, the nurses who look after you, if you come from that angle, then you are saying, I know that they will only say this is the end, because indeed it is the end, meaning there is no more hope of recovery. If that is the point, then it's for you to let go of life. It is not clinging on to life. Having life is not the same as clinging to life. Life has its own condition. And when the conditions are over, you must have that magnanimity, that trust, that faith to say it's time to move on. You must have that. If you are worried and you are deeply concerned that some parts of the system may not be working properly, and what if it's not this and not that, and that kind of thing, then maybe signing at this point is not something you're prepared to do, you're ready to do. Okay? Having said that, now I address the second part of the issue, which is, are you helping your family members be at ease about your passing, about making difficult decisions, and then you take that decisions from them and you spare them from having to make that decision? Yes. Personally, I think it is. You basically say, I will trust the system to look after me to the best of its ability. Then when it's time to move on, then so be it. And you let go of life. There is no need to think too much about these things. I personally think there's no need to be too anxious about this. Death is a certainty anyway. Okay? We don't have to nitpick about the moment when it happens. Whenever it happens, however it happens, it will happen. That is a certainty. As long as I do not bring forward deliberately with intentions and having lobha, dosa, moha in my mind, I don't want this life anymore, get rid of it. That's lobha. I hate myself, get rid of it. That's dosa. When you have these very strong, powerful mental states, and then you nitpick about the moment, that itself presents its own problem. It means you're clinging. There's holding. There's denial of the inevitable. But if you accept the inevitable, it will happen. It's okay. Let nature take its course. And then they say, we are just artificially sustaining the form, then so be it. Pull the plug. There's nothing wrong with pulling the plug. When it is not about life, it is artificially sustaining form. There is no life. Life requires this awareness, this mental state to react, to respond. Think of death as turning a page in a book. You know, you just flip and it's the next chapter. I see it this way. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. What is the role of a friend to someone who has depression or anxiety diagnosed clinically? It is evident that I do get affected myself by their thought patterns as well, as I want to put down my own biases and understand where they are coming from without attaching to my own views. How does one balance the help one wants to give to his friend and maintaining one's own stability of mind at the same time?
It depends on how severe if you want to do counseling or you're helping someone, there are different things you can do, one. And two, it also depends on how severe your friend is, your family members, your friend, it also depends on how bad they are. If you're looking at, we're talking about spectrum here, the mild cases, the temporary agitation, sadness, meaning it's not chronic, it's maybe an event-driven, maybe loss of someone. When it's relatively mild and it's new, it doesn't seem that dire, that period everyone can play a role, especially if you have the compassion and you have the wisdom. If you know, again it depends on you, if you know from experience that you actually you're not very good at bringing comfort, you could actually cause more damage. In which case, you may not be the best person to be advising. Okay, so there must be some understanding of what you can do and how you can help. It is not always that you are the best person for the job. That's point one. But assuming that, yes, you are good friends, and this is your good friend, and you really want to help, and you're not sure how much you can do, but by being there you can do something, then it is with metta, with compassion, with wisdom, with understanding, you be there. And it may take a lot of time. However much time that you can spare, you try to the best that you can, okay? Now, assuming that, remember what I said earlier, that your friend is not in the dire state, is not serious, it's mild, it's event-based, so it's temporary. So you being there can help the person tie over this difficult period. But if this is a chronic case, and the conditions, the mental state is severe, you are not in a position to help. What you can do is to encourage the person to seek professional help, medical treatment. And if you really want to help, you accompany the person. You be there for the person. You be there when maybe the situation goes a bit bad, then you be there and make sure that nothing happens, it doesn't go overboard. So you are at most, what I will call, you are an aid. You're not the person that will fix the problem. You can only be a crutch so that this person can get real help from professionals, from people who are trained to do the job. Okay? I'm not sure where in the spectrum of things is this. The main thing I think is just bear in mind when you are helping a person, there are two players here, you and the person. Are you capable of? How good are you? What kind of understanding and issues, what kind of issues do you have? You must have that clarity. Then that person, how severe is the condition? It's very mild. Maybe you can do something, that you can pair. If it's disconnected, you're not the best person, think about who else you can rope into to assist, okay? Two players, bear that in mind. We also want to bear in mind that whenever we help, can we ensure a reasonably good outcome? A reasonably good outcome means one where the person feels hope, okay? Feels that something has improved and that you can actually see some degree of change. So sometimes if you help for a while and nothing has changed, maybe it's time to turn elsewhere for help. You understand? There must be some things you can look at, milestones, better, improve mental states, become wiser, more settled, that kind of thing. If you are just blindly doing it, not having any idea about whether there is change or improvement or deterioration, if you're doing that without that sense of improvement, going upwards improvement or going downwards degeneration, if you have no sense of that, think again. You may want to get someone else on board to assist. Okay?
Thank you. Abortion for a lady who has been raped and pregnant as a result, is it right action for the victim? Do you agree as a normal human being?
You ask, many questions posed today are really questions that have many angles and requires deeper thinking, understanding of the circumstances. Some questions have no right or wrong answers, okay? The reason why I'm careful is because I find it difficult to advise when the questions are so general and under certain circumstances, the answer could actually be more harmful than helpful. I would really prefer to know a specific instance and the conditions pertaining to that event, that instance. And then unique to that situation, an answer is valid. Okay? If you ask me, are there any conditions that can present like a loophole for killing? I'm telling you, there is no loophole. Taking a life is taking a life, regardless of what life and how that event comes to be. That's my point. When it is about killing, you cannot half kill unless you fumble in the killing process, then the fellow is half dead. But there's no half kill, okay? So any killing is a killing. Our problem is we all kind of assume, there is this unsaid assumption that killing is wrong. Killing means you're bad. And that's where people start to come out with, but what about this and what about that? And are these conditions different? Can we make adjustment here, some loophole? No, killing is not good or bad. Killing hurts. Killing takes life. Someone pays for it. That's a given, okay? That's a given. And then it goes into the complication of, is this better, this worse? Will it help, does it not help? Those are really the complications, the complexities of individual cases. The point that I want to make is, when you make a decision, if, not when, if, Buddhists don't when, Buddhists if you ever make a decision that takes life, do not find excuse. Don't look for a loophole that says this is not killing. It is. Ask yourself, why did you get to this point of saying, I will take this life? And you may find that embedded there, if you start to tease away all the ifs and whats and buts, when you start to tease, you start to dissect the case, when you start to peel away all the fuzzy statements, you may find that underpinning that actually is desire, lobha. I prefer this because I find that inconvenient. I would rather it be like this because that one is uncomfortable, it's painful. So you find that lobha may actually be the reason for you trying to find a reason for saying this is okay. Then once it becomes clear to you that lobha or dosa is actually, one or the other or both are there in the mix, then have the courage to say, I'm taking this decision, I know it's killing, I know it is something that I would rather not do, but I have to do it because I have this lobha, I have this desire. Have the courage and the honesty to acknowledge that. That's where I'm coming from, okay? There's no right or wrong, it's a personal decision.
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. We'll take this as the last question. Seeing someone who has collapsed, breathless, and I perform CPR, am I helping to save a life or preventing the collapsed person to go to the Pure Land?
Seriously? Okay, first and foremost, do you know CPR? If you know CPR and you're sure that you know what you're doing and you're indeed helping, do it. Saving a life gives that person a chance to do good. That's where I'm coming from. Meaning every day that we live is one more day of having the potential to be wholesome, to do good. That's the only reason for living. Cultivation and growth, it's why we live on, okay? We continue. We value life. If we live on, it is one more day to enjoy, indulge, and be nasty. Trust me, it's not worth it. You can spare yourself a lot of this bad karma. Always go for wholesomeness, okay? So you ask me, should I help and save if I know how to do it? Yes, do it, because you give that fella a chance to be wholesome and good and continue one more day, good life. But you say, yeah, but he's a bad person, because this is the next question. What if he's a bad person and is nasty? Maybe he has a chance to change. Maybe one close encounter, one close shave with death may change him. And then if he's changed, that's wholesome. You never know. Always give people a chance. Always. I will end there.
Thank you, Sis Sylvia.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
We will.
Yes. You put on the. Is it on this one? Okay. I feel that the reason why I introduced this slide is because I feel that when we enjoy Dhamma, we listen to Dhamma, it shouldn't be just something we enjoy, take away, and forget. Maybe we learn something, but by and large, it's over. I feel we should actually reflect on gratitude to the Buddha. 2,500 years ago, he left behind this teaching that centuries later, we are still benefiting from the guidance. And for that, we want to show our gratitude to the Buddha and do something in return. Hence, the writing here. Okay? If you had experienced joy listening to the Dhamma, do consider honoring our teacher by putting into practice his first teaching to the lay community. Be chaga and donate to a worthy charity or spiritual organization of your choice at your convenience. We must never take for granted the blessings that we have enjoyed in this life. As our forefathers had done it right by us, we must continue the good work for those who come after. May the Dhamma last long. May we continue to enjoy supportive conditions for learning and practice. And may we never deviate from the true teaching as long as life lasts. Today, I would like to dedicate this talk in the memory of Mr. Quek Chin Hua, father of Quek Hui Min. We all know her as Ming. He passed away yesterday evening. So I would like to invite everyone to join us in dedicating merits with all beings and in sharing merits with Mr. Quek, as well as your past relatives and friends.
Okay, let us invite all sentient beings to participate in our acquired merits. Etta vata cha amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etta vata cha amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etta vata cha amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Let us dedicate merits of participating in this wholesome Dhamma activity to our departed relatives and friends. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Let's close by paying homage to the Triple Gem. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Sāleyyaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Sister Sylvia Bay. Thank you, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, for joining us today.